Hello, sixth graders, and welcome to 5.4. Today we'll be discussing how to solve fraction equations, and specifically, we'll be using addition and subtraction equations. Right? So, this is going to build from the last section where we worked on regrouping with those mixed numbers and fractions, and really, now we're just applying that to the rules that we learned for solving simple equations, right? So let's try an example and see what that entails. It says solve each equation and write the solution in simplest form. All right, I have x plus 3/5 equals 14. So what number, when you add 3/5, gives you a total of 14? Well, remember, if we split our equation down the middle, or at the equal sign, and then we ask ourselves that question, what is being done to my variable and how do I undo it? I would subtract 5 and 3/5 from both sides of my equation, because 5 and 3/5 minus 5 and 3/5 cancels out. And then I just have to subtract 5 and 3/5 from the right-hand side as well. All right, so subtract 5 and 3/5 from both sides to undo the addition. All right, so I'm taking 14 and I'm subtracting 5 and 3/5. But remember, it's not all that handy to have a whole number and subtract a mixed number. So I can change this whole number into a mixed number by regrouping. So taking a whole away from this, making it 13, and then rewriting that whole in terms of a fraction that's similar to my other fraction. So renaming 14 as, I'm borrowing a whole, so it'll be 13, and then in fraction form, I want to keep it in fifths because my other fraction's in fifths. And what is a whole? Well, 5/5 is a whole. So 13 and 5/5 is the same as 14. I am just thinking of it a little bit differently, so I can subtract a little bit easier. Now, I've got 5 minus 3 on top. Subtracting my numerators would give me 2. My common denominator is 5. And 13 minus 5 would give me a total of 8. So I'd be left with 8 and 2/5. If you wanted to double check that, take what you got for x and substitute it back into your original equation. 8 and 2/5 plus 5 and 3/5 will give you 14. All right, so it's tying those two things together, regrouping, and also our rules for subtraction and simple equations. All right, very similar with letter B and C. Let's try these examples as well. Now I've got 3 and 2/9 equals x and minus 4 and 1/3. Okay, x is being subtracted by 4 and 1/3. So to undo this subtraction, I will add 4 and 1/3 to both sides of my equation. Remember, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other, since my equation is like a scale. I need to balance it to undo the subtraction. Okay, so negative 4 and 1/3 plus 4 and 1/3, adding 4 and 1/3 and subtracting 4 and 1/3 are opposites. I'm just left with x, and now I just need to add 4 and 1/3 to both sides of my equation. Well, what you notice is that we need to find a common denominator first. Okay. 3 and 2/9 and 4 and 1/3. Well, I could get thirds into ninths by just multiplying my denominator by 3. So if I multiply my numerator by 3 as well, I would have 3/9. And now I have 3 and 2/9 plus 4 and now common denominator will be 3/9. Right? So I've come up with, sorry if that is popping up on your screen as well, but hopefully that'll go away. I've got 2/9 plus 3/9 for a total of 5/9. And I've got 3 plus 4 to give me 7. So 7 and 5/9 should be your answer. Right, let's try letter C. I'll just close this so we don't get any more annoying pop-ups. Letter C says 6 and 1/6 equals m plus 7/12. All right. Ask myself, what is being done to my variable and how can I undo that? Well, it's being added by 7/12, so I would subtract 7/12 from both sides to undo the addition. So then I've got these will cancel, and then I need to find a common denominator because this is 1/6. Well, to make 6 into 12, I just have to multiply by 2. So you'll see here, they multiplied by 2 to get to 12, and they multiplied in the numerator by 2 to get 2. So now we have 6 and 2/12 minus 7/12. And now we kind of get to that spot where it's like, well, we can't subtract 2 from 7. 2 doesn't have enough to give. So we need to regroup. We need to borrow a whole to make this 5, and then rewrite that borrowed whole as 12/12. So I will add that 12/12 to this 2/12 to give me 14/12. This 2 that I originally had plus these 12 that we had to regroup from the 5 gives me 14/12. And again, I renamed 6 and 2/12 as 5 and 14/12. Or excuse me, 5 and 12/12 plus this 2/12 to get 5 and 14/12. Okay. And lastly, then you just have to subtract. So 14 minus 7 would give you 7/12. And then 5 minus, well, there aren't any wholes, so just 5. 5 and 7/12 would be your answer. All right, go ahead and flip to the back side, and we'll continue with letter D. Just seeing another example, it says W minus 4/5 equals 3 3/10. Right? W is being subtracted by 4/5, so we need to add 4/5 to both sides to undo the subtraction. All right, subtracting 4/5, adding 4/5 opposite, I'll be left with W equals. And now I need to rewrite 4/5 as tenths. So I need to get this into tenths times by 2 would give me 8/10. So 3 and 3/10 plus 8/10, now that I have my common denominator, would give me 3 plus 8 is 11. Keep my common denominator, and I have 3 wholes. So 3 and 11/10. Notice how that my numerator is bigger than my denominator. I want to just rewrite that. So take one of these wholes, so take 10/10 and add it to a 3, which would give me 4. And if I took 10/10, I'd have just 1/10 left. So 4 and 1/10. In other words, I renamed 3 and 11/10 as 3 and 10/10 plus 1/10. Right? Hopefully, after seeing those 4 examples, that gives you a little bit better of idea how to regroup and use that with some a little bit of algebra. All right, we've got example 2 and the check it out left for today. Example 2 says Linda's dog weighs 85 1/4 pounds, pretty decent sized dog. If Linda's dog weighs 17 1/2 pounds less than Ian's, how much does Ian's dog weigh? Wow, so Linda's is 85 and it's 17 less than Ian's. So you'll see here they first started by writing an equation. We don't know what Ian's dog weighs, so they just called it D for dog. And if you take 17 and a half pounds and you subtract it from Ian's, that's how much Linda's would weigh. So that's this equation that you see here. To solve, undo the subtracting by 17 and a half by adding 17 and a half to both sides. To undo the subtraction. Okay, and then you'll notice these cancel, and I need to write this as fourths. So I've got a half, I need to rewrite it as fourths, so times by 2 times by 2, give me 2 fourths. So 1/4 plus this is 2 fourths, would give me 3 fourths, and then 85 plus 17, 12, 8, 9, 10 will give me 102 3/4 pounds. Wow, that's a good sized dog. 102 3/4 of a pound for Ian's dog. Right, go ahead and pause for the last two problems and check it out for 1 and 2 here, and see how you do. All right, number 1, you'd have to subtract 7/10 from both sides. So hopefully you saw that your answer is getting smaller. So M should equal 4 7/10. Let me know if you need help on that. And then the next one, you should come up with 17 5 6 pounds. LBS is the abbreviation there. So let me know if you need any help with those. That does it for this lesson. Really nothing new. It's actually just combining a little bit of algebra with the regrouping and adding and subtracting fractions that we've worked with here. All right, good luck on the homework. As always, be kind to one another, and I'll see you next time.